Folks, today's episode is brought to you by SiriusXM Satellite Radio. You may already know that SiriusXM brings you the deepest variety of commercial-free music for every genre and for every mood. That's where you hear the biggest names in talk, entertainment, and comedy, and hundreds of hand-curated music channels designed to fit every mood. It's where you get news from every source. It's where you can listen to the newly launched Fish Radio, woo! In addition to Jam On, the Grateful Dead Radio, Pearl Jam Radio, Tom Petty Radio, and many more. It's where you can listen to top comedy channels such as Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio and Netflix is a Joke Radio, and sports talk radio from Barstool to ESPN and more to keep you up to date on the latest news in the sports world. Most people think you need a car to enjoy SiriusXM, but you don't. Subscribe now and listen outside the car, on your phone, online, and at home. And get your first 3 months for just $1. Visit SiriusXM.com/amigos, AMIGOS, to see offer details and to subscribe and start listening today. That's SiriusXM, no car required. What's up? This is Mike Finoia from Amigos, and Amigos Podcast is In the Loop, the legion of Osiris podcasts. Osiris is creating a community that connects people like you with podcasts and live experiences about artists and topics you love. Check out osirispod.com and stay in the loop. Hey folks, welcome back to Amigos. This is your host Mike Finoia. I hope everybody is doing good. Happy October. It's October, my favorite month of the year, mainly because it's this guy's birthday, but also this is the best month to be in New York City. It doesn't smell so bad. The breeze feels nice while you're sleeping. And the foliage, the New England foliage, all the leaves are changing, and it's a good time. If you're a football fan, it's great, except if you're a Miami Dolphin fan, which I am. I like the worst football team to ever wear a helmet, I think. The Miami Dolphins, I'm a very loyal guy, and the Dan Marino and Don Mattingly from the New York Yankees, Dan Marino from the Miami Dolphins, were my heroes growing up. As far as athletes are concerned, Walter Payton, sweetness number 34 from the Bears was too, but my first guy was Marino because I always wanted to be a quarterback. And both of my heroes in sports never won a championship. They came close, but they never did it. Sucks for Mattingly too, because like right after he left, the Yanks just went on a tear and won everything for 100 years. But those are my guys. I stick to my teams. And the Miami Dolphins, if you're a football fan, wow, they just suck. I mean, it's pathetic. But I'm a sports fan nonetheless, and I just like watching games. So it's fun to be in the fall again. I'm not a summer guy, really. My bald head gets burned. Let's get the business out of the way and then catch up. It's been a while. Got a lot to talk to you about. If you are on iTunes and you haven't already given a review or a rating, head over there and give us a 5-star rating and a review. It goes a long way. Subscribe, of course. If you're on Spotify, follow and subscribe. If you're on social media, it is at MikeFinoia on Instagram and Twitter, at AmigosPod, AMIGOSPOD. On those two as well. Facebook, we got the Amigos Podcast discussion group. I'm not doing a ton on Twitter anymore. I'm kind of, I don't know. First of all, it's boring. I'll be honest. If I wasn't doing stand-up and I wasn't doing a podcast, I don't think I'd be on social media. I like Instagram for pictures and all that, but Twitter's just kind of, I don't know, man. It's like you go pop in every now and then and you visit and all that, but it's very like addictive and toxic, and it's just not for me. So if you want to see what's going on in the world of me and Amigos and all that stuff, I'm an Instagram cat more than anything, so head over there. I've got a project going on three projects, not counting Amigos and stand-up comedy. This is why I'm not bringing you guys episodes as often as weekly, because it's overwhelming right now. I'm doing stand-up comedy, working on material for a new album, and I'm about 60% of the way there. Basically, what that means is that there's no interview today. I'm just me talking. So I want to catch up with my pals, my amigos. Getting ready to record something new. You're kind of ripping through material and seeing what you still have enthusiasm about, what could be deeper, what's done, what needs to be patched up or moved around and all that. And I've been working on a lot of longer sets and shorter sets. And so I have that happening. I've got Inside Jokes, Impractical Jokers, Inside Jokes, which I am the head writer for. That's the Impractical Jokers show where, if you're watching on True TV, it's episodes where little fact bubbles pop up. And about every 20 to 30 seconds, a fact bubble pops up. That's what I do for a living. I write those facts, and I work with the crew. I love everybody that works on the Impractical Jokers, from the four guys to the locations department to the PAs to the audio and the video and the producers and everybody. I mean, you name it. We're a family, and I'm so happy and so honored to be a part of that team. But I'm working on a new season of that, which takes up some time. Basically what I do, to give you a behind-the-scenes look at the behind-the-scenes stuff I do, I watch episodes that either I've written on or produced and ones that I haven't, all the way back to season 1. And I write facts, and I do some digging, and I do some research, which involves hanging out with my buddies, emailing and getting on calls with some of the producers. We watch some of the episodes together, and I come up with facts that are, I'd say it's like an 80-20 blend. I like to do 80% facts about the day of the shoot, the history of the location, some of the things that maybe didn't work. And then 20% what I would like to call Snapple Cap facts. So if we're talking about, restaurants in New York, or if we're at a specific park, I like to go in and find some little snippets and nuggets of knowledge that have to do with where we're at that day or what we're working on that day. And I pepper those in sparingly. And also I like to throw in some little gems, little Easter eggs for fans of the music and fans of the podcast and fans of the Jokers and stand-up comedy and all that. So it really makes me happy that the show makes people happy. I get to watch my favorite show and write facts about it. It's a dream come true. And I really care a ton about it because I grew up watching pop-up video in the 90s, and I would watch it forever. And I love facts about behind-the-scenes stuff. I really think it's neat. And the way that we make the show is so unique and so special that I think it's important to give folks as much of a behind-the-scenes look as I can without, sharing too much of the magic. And the guys work so hard on it, and the crew. So I really like to shout out everybody that's involved as much as possible. So that's the second thing going on in my life. Then the Amigos podcast, with which you're listening to now on the Osiris Network, which is making strides in so many great directions. And I love everybody over at Osiris, and I'm happy for all of the progress that we're making in the new podcasts that are on the network and all of the great shows. So please head over to Osiris Pod and listen to all of the wonderful podcasts. There's a new one that we have called The Tapes like the Lost Tapes or Tape Sessions. I want to get the name right because it's so cool. I listened to the Tapes archive, and I listened to it, and there was this really, really interesting interview with George Carlin, and it's all the way back from '89, which, predates social media and all that, and it just goes into his way of going about writing and going about, putting together material and things like that, and it's just, he's any comedian's hero. He's the Eric Clapton of, guitar, if you make that analogy. And it's a really, really wonderful podcast to listen to. And, of course, all of the amazing ones that we have on the network. So osirispod.com. But I've got a couple of very, very special guests coming up soon. And I'm a believer in quality versus quantity. So if it's every 2 weeks I'm bringing you an episode, 3 weeks, I'd rather do that than, piss in your ears like those, some people we know do. But I've got, in the beginning of November, I have probably one of the most exciting interviews that I've done ever coming up, and I'm nervous and I'm excited, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because I want it to be a surprise for everyone. So putting a lot of thought and effort into that. So that's another thing that I've got going on. The next thing I have going on is a project that I have been working on. So long may they run. Dean Budnick's project that I think, hats off to Dean. He's doing a wonderful job with that project, and I think it's going to be great. It came as a bit of I don't know. I was happy to see it out there, but I'm also working on a project very similar that's going to be coming out in the end of mid-fall. It's called Still Chasing. And what I did was I took stock of the fact that turning 40 this month, 25 years almost of seeing Phish concerts, 25 years. And I am kind of looking back on why do I do it? Why do I still chase this band around? And what is it about the Phish scene and the Grateful Dead scene and this world that influences me and keeps me coming back for more and traveling and spending money and being uncomfortable and all of that stuff? So basically what I'm doing is kind of taking a look back at the quarter century of my experience, and my very good friend and Osiris cohort, Michael Shields, who is responsible for the great podcasts Welcome to the Party Pal. He's part of the God Ween Evan team, the Across the Margins podcast. We're working together on it, and he's helping me immensely because we're both at about that same tenure in Phish, and we kind of grew up in a parallel pattern. He had his buddies that he did it with. I have mine that I did it with, and we're looking at it together, and we're going to be releasing it soon. I've got interviews with a lot of very amazing people in the scene, and we take kind of like a holistic look from a fan's perspective and how it's influenced me with stand-up comedy and other aspects of my life. So that's going to be out on Spotify, and then a couple weeks after it's released, it's going to be out there on all mediums, including here at Osiris Network, YouTube, Libsyn, Spotify, you name it, it's going to be out there. So keep an eye for Still Chasing. My friend Jeffrey Tice, who's an amazing follow on Instagram, GeoffFrey, Tice, Tice, did the artwork for the project, and I'm excited to bring it to you. So that's the fourth thing I'm doing. Fifth thing that I have going on right now. As a member of the Impractical Jokers team, I get the privilege to, every winter, take part in the Impractical Jokers cruise. It's a 4-day, 5-day cruise that's run by a cool company called Sixth Man Productions. They're responsible for cruises that are fan-centric, fan-based, similar to Jam Cruise, the Kiss Cruise, you name it, there's a cruise now for it, and the Jokers have one. And as one of the guys that opens for the Jokers on the road, The guys are kind enough to invite me onto the boat to perform and do stand-up and hang out with the fans. And my good pal, the very talented Cypher Sounds, DJ, comedian, just an all-around great dude. Him and I were together recently in Las Vegas, and we were admiring each other's fat stomachs and our tits. And we decided that we need to lose some weight leading up to the cruise. So we thought, we got 20 weeks till the cruise. Why not make this a challenge and invite fans and, podcast listeners and all that to join in and see what they can lose. So we started Lose to the Cruise. Mike and Cypher's Lose to the Cruise. And it's a 20-week challenge. I like this project because it's got an end date. It's something that will wrap up when we get to the cruise. And we are charting our weight loss mission and our progress and our pitfalls and our misses and all that along the way. So it's a fun follow. It's a fun listen. So if you're into it, check out Losed, Loseto, the cruise, and follow along. And if you've got any tips on how to lose weight, I started this at 5'8", 223.2 pounds, and I'm looking to be 5'8", 200. I want to lose. We're in the 18th week or something like that, and I've got a little bit more to go, a lot more to go. But it's fun. But it's another project that, look, I'm turning 40, and I kind of wanted to, be at a better weight and feel better. I went for it pretty hardcore with eating and drinking beers and stuff this summer on Fish Tour. So it's time to get better, just a little bit better. So I've got all these things going on and trying to be a good husband and a good dog owner, dad, and a good friend to my buddies. And so a lot going on, and I've been traveling quite a bit. I've been seeing some concerts. So it's fun to have all this stuff going on, and it's all positive, and just really trying to put 100% into everything. So thank you guys for supporting and sharing all the love. It really goes a long way, and I appreciate it quite a bit. I did a bunch of shows recently. I'd like to thank some amigos that came out to my shows on Long Island at the Brokerage Comedy Club. Jump and Jeff I got to meet. Thanks for coming out. A couple other folks. It was really a blast. I had a good time. Interesting crowds. There's some hecklers about, and they really like to talk. And I think Jeff actually caught one of the shows where I got into it with a lady, and I don't understand why people would go to a comedy show and think that like talking to me or about my stuff or at me or to their friends or on their phone or whatever the hell they're doing, I don't see how anyone could think that would help. That'd be like going to a concert and you're watching a guitar player make a B minor chord and you go and throw your finger on the string and be like, here, I'm helping you. You're not helping. Keep your hands off my guitar and stop talking. And I got into it with a lady. I got into it with one person, I think, at every show. And that was pretty interesting. So, but I had a good time. It's nice to go out and do long sets. I've got this weekend, I'm doing 4 shows at Atlantic City Comedy Club. That's located inside the Claridge Hotel and Casino. So if you're interested, you could go to mikefinoia.com and find out the details about that. October 9th, which is a Thursday or Wednesday at 10:30. I'm doing a longer set at the Comedy Cellar, Fat Black Pussycat. I have some of my friends joining me. It's a great room. I've talked about it a bunch on this, and I'm going to be working out some new material. I'm happy with a lot of the newer stuff, and it's been a lot of fun to see the growth. I went on the road. This is something that I probably have to talk about. That I'm not good at talking about good things that I've done or that have happened. I'm always kind of overwhelmed, but I had a moment, and it fits into in a weird circular situation here. We lost Robert Hunter. I haven't had a podcast since the Grateful Dead lyricist Robert Hunter passed away. Someone who literally, easily changed my life more than, him and Tom. Tom Marshall and Robert Hunter pretty much wrote the songs that have been the soundtrack of easily 2 to 3 decades of my life. And, I've sang those lyrics over and over again, and I've, gone to them in shitty times, especially, Robert Hunter and, Broke Down Palace and Addicts in My Life and Stella Blue and all of those songs. But Black Peter, there's a line in that song that's, see here how everything lead up to this day, and it's just like any other day that's ever been. I love that song so much, and I love that line. And I went on the road 2 or 3 weekends ago with my hero, Dave Attell. Dave Attell is, I think he's the greatest comic ever, and he's one of the nicest people ever. And to the fact that I even know him is, to me, like, the greatest honor, but he likes me enough to bring me out on the road with him, and we've gotten to become pretty good pals. And I did a couple of shows with him at Foxwoods Casino at the Fox Theater, beautiful theater. That was the first of 3 shows. The show went great. The way that it was set up was an announcer over the God mic, we call it. It's the microphone where they, do the announcement from behind the stage, like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. And I went out and I did, I think, like 25 minutes in front of Dave. And it's an interesting experience doing stand-up comedy on a stage that big when we're used to being, a foot or 2 or 3 or 4 from the crowd, when I could see faces and I could see, expressions, and laughter hits you instantly. When you're doing stand-up in a big theater, it's pitch black, and there's a gigantic spotlight right in your face, and you can't see anything but the shadows or the outlines of, like, a couple heads in the room. You could look off outside of the spotlight that's in your face, and you could see candles lit or exit signs, or you look off side stage and you see, whatever. But it takes a bit of getting used to. And comics don't necessarily always do a sound check. We're kind of just going out there and grabbing the microphone and trying to figure it out as we go. So went out, did the set. I was happy with it. It was good. I wouldn't say it was great. Attell went out and, absolutely destroyed. He tells 500 jokes an hour, and they're all just, he's brilliant. He's really like a wordsmith, and his timing's great, and it's just, watching him is, I don't know. It gets to a point sometimes with stand-up where it's like you don't want to watch other people's stand-up, and Dave I have to watch because I'm a huge fan. So that was incredible. We took a road trip up to Boston from there, and we did the Wilbur Theater. Now, every so often, I would say maybe this has happened to me like 2 or 3 times in my career doing stand-up comedy, where I have a show that is just something special. And I don't think it's obviously partly me, but I don't think it's me. I don't think, like, I went out there and there's like this certain thing where, like, the room is perfect, the sound is perfect, the seating and the distance and the crowd's timing and the way that they laugh at the right moment, and when it dies down, I hit them with the next thing, and it just, the first show of the 2 shows that we did at the Wilbur Theater, I think might be the best I've ever done. And it was a 25-minute set where, just start to finish, me and the crowd were just, we were kind of just picking up where we were each putting down, and we were jiving, and it was great. And I had a moment like that once at the Zanies in Chicago. once in Denver, Colorado at the Comedy Works, and then once on stage with the Impractical Jokers at the Minnesota State Fair. And it's just these times where, and maybe once on the cruise, the last Joker cruise or two, I had a moment like that where, you know, when you're on stage and you're doing stand-up comedy, it's like the minute a joke leaves your face, you're feeling 6 emotions at once. You're like, God, I hope they like this. Did I say it right? Take a breath. Do you need water? What are you going to do next? Is your fly up? Do you have bugs hanging out of your nose? Like, you're going through like a firing squad of anxiety and inner, you know, self whatever questioning. And every so often, these like 4 or 5 times probably in the 10 years or 9 years that I've been doing this, you have a moment where you can just sit back in the laughter, and it almost seems like time stands still, and you can kind of pan the room, and you're like, wow, like this is working. And it's fun because it's so, you know, few and far between that happens. It happened during this show in Boston, and I felt like I was floating. I felt like I was off the stage, and the crowd was just perfect. And they were so much fun. And I said thank you, good night after my last joke, and I got an ovation that kind of had like a tide. It went up, and then as it was dying down, somebody went, woo, and it picked back up, and they clapped even more, and it happened another time, and I mean, I had tears in my eyes, and I brought up Dave, and I went on the side stage, and he told me, you know, great job as I was passing him walking off the stage, which, I mean, at that point, it's like, you know, now I feel like I'm just on borrowed time, when you're you know, told by your hero that you did well, and he's watching you on the side of the stage and all that. After the show, we were outside shaking hands and saying hi to everybody, and people were so nice, and they were coming up and like, dude, you did a fantastic job. Like, where can we find your stuff? And this nice guy comes over, and he had a big white beard, and he had a Santa Claus t-shirt on, and he kind of whispered to me, he goes, you should have seen the look on your face when people were clapping for you. He goes, it was really cool to see, and he goes, it was really a priceless moment. And I mean, he gave me like a, you know, the feels there. So thanks to that dude, and thanks to Dave Attell, and thank you to everybody who came out to the shows. I had a really great time, and it really put a lot of wind in my sails. Boston is an incredible town for comedy, very smart people, and they also know how to party. And then Dave would bring me out at the end of the show, all 3 of them, and we would kind of screw with the crowd a little bit. And boy, talk about pressure. I mean, he's the best at that, and I just tried to hold my own. But we had a nice run. So I've got some new jokes that I'm excited about, a little deeper stuff, more autobiographical, and I'm excited to share it. So working hard on getting a new hour together for a new album, and I'm about, I'd say 30 minutes deep right now of new ready to go stuff. So also want to give a shout to Amigos alum, my good friend Karina Reichman. Went to see her headlining debut at Brooklyn Bowl with Mike Shields and some other folks, and she crushed it. She did a fantastic job. There was a great crowd for her, family, friends, all that, and she did a wonderful job. Check her out if she's in your town. She covered Spiders from Wilco, which I love so much, and I'm going to be going to see them soon, and she did a great job. The originals were great. Her band is fantastic. It's just a good time, and she's up there having a blast. She seems like one of those people that just is living her dream, doing what she wants, and it's showing that she's just having a very good time up there. So, all right. Fish announced MSG. Fish has Reverse Island tour coming. I'm super excited for both of those things. I'm going to do all 4 New Year's Eve, and then I'm doing the 2 Providence and the Nassau. I think that'll make 20 or 21 shows this year that I've done. It's a lot. I'm exhausted, but it's worth it. They're playing amazing. So I'm excited for Fish. I'm excited to see what's next. They probably are going to release some new stuff, and I think it's going to be a Ruby Waves New Year's Eve gag. I think something's going to happen. I think the whole place is going to turn bright red, and they're going to do something with that, because that song is the breakout artist of the year, if you ask me. And we already got the Mercury and stuff like that. So I see it being a Ruby Waves New Year's. Are you going? Let me know. Hit me up. Maybe we can meet up. We'll do a live Amigos or something. Robert Hunter. I mean, what do you say? The guy is the Shakespeare of our generation. Like most, well, I don't want to say most. We all kind of found the Grateful Dead at different times, and different albums, did it for us. And my first real, American Beauty and Working Man's Dead, I remember I saved up $1 a week for my allowance, and I went and bought a 2 double-sided tape. It was American Beauty on one side, Working Man's Dead on the other. And it was a spring day, and the house that we were living in at the time looked over a mountain, and I kicked my legs out the window and I hit play, and Box of Rain started, and it changed my life. And before that, I listened to my dad's records of Shakedown Street and Steal Your Face and Skeletons in the Closet and what else? Europe 72, Without a Net, stuff like that. And I loved them from the start. I mean, right away, and I've talked about that a million times, but the thing that I kind of dug about the Dead right away was just this sort of, it was a world within a world, and it was all Robert Hunter and Jerry having that synchronicity like Tom and Trey do, where the lyrics play the music and the music plays the lyrics. And I think probably, Dire Wolf was probably like one of the first songs where I was like, yeah, like this song, it hooked me deep. And I was like, how the hell do you write such a fun, like it was the first time I kind of looked at lyrics and words and thought, oh, you can do fun shit with lyrics. You can do fun stuff with stories, and you could play somehow, like the wolf is playing cards and the wolf is drinking with the guy in a cabin, and you're there. You're in the cabin, and it's snowy out, and there's trees surrounding it, but there's a little bit of cleared out area right around the cabin, and this wolf is hanging out, and the guy's like, come on in, let's grab a deck of cards and play a game. And unreal. I don't even know how the hell you even do that. And Robert Hunter did that 5 million times. And I mean, his ability to, and the first song that hits you on American Beauty is Box of Rain. And that's just, I mean, the story of Phil's father was dying, and he sent the music to Hunter, and Hunter wrote the lyrics, and it just worked out perfectly. And the songs that he's written that have gotten me through, when I had to put my doggy down, Stella Blue, that I really that song to me is pretty much that, and Mission in the Rain are two of the most beautiful songs ever written in the history of music. And the reason why I loved Stella Blue so much was that whole, it seems like all this life was just a dream. It all rolls into one, and nothing comes for free. There's nothing you can hold for very long. His lyrics are just so, I don't want to make parallels, but I think Bug is probably Bug and Steam are probably like two of my most lyrically favorite Fish songs. But Bug is one of these, like, kind of, let's pull the curtain back on life, and let's put the cards down, and let's really kind of take a look at, what is this thing here? And nothing matters. And for someone who deals with anxiety to, like, have a mantra that, like, it doesn't matter, when that hits, and I've gotten emotional the last couple times I've heard Bug. Because sometimes you got to remind yourself that it doesn't matter. And I think that Robert Hunter 7,000 times in his songs are like, this all is just, it's just life, and it's one chapter in universe of shit that's going on, and the Grateful Dead is just so amazing at capturing those like gaps in your thoughts, those spaces in between your thoughts where the magic really happens. And Stella Blue, when my pup was on her way out, my vet's a Deadhead, and I said, can I just throw on some music? And she said, of course. So I put on this playlist called Dead Rest, and it's just kind of mellow Dead tunes. Reckoning's on there, American Beauty, Working Man's Dead, a couple other tunes. And Broke Down Palace came on as my girl was on her way out. And I'll tell you, it was just like somehow a wave of calm came over me because I was so anxious about that moment. And it's just, I just was leaving, and I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, it's just so amazing how the Grateful Dead just seems to always be there whenever I need it. And I'd like to thank Robert Hunter for all of the amazing music, all the amazing motivation. The Grateful Dead has been something where it's Shakespeare to me, and it's always kind of, we're talking about Dave Attell, we're talking about inspiration and all that. I look at it like, I don't know, when you write something, hold it up to a candle like Robert Hunter and say, could this be better? Did I take the lazy way out? Did I, could I have made this? Would Jerry Garcia sing this? Would Dave Attell tell this joke? That's the way I kind of look at his writing. So hats off, and fare thee well and safe travels into the afterlife, Mr. Hunter. Guys, that's it. We're going to make this one short and sweet. I got a bunch to do. Come check out some comedy. I've got a bunch of good shit coming on, and stay tuned and stay plugged in, and I'll be bringing you another episode very soon. I appreciate your guys' patience. And let's go out with a Stella Blue. What do you say? This is something that means a lot to me, this song, and I'm going to play it for you, and this is for Robert Hunter. Give my doggy Stella Blue a little scratch behind the ears when you get up there to the afterlife, buddy. Peace.
All the years come by, they melt into a dream. A broken angel sings from a guitar. And there's just a song it's crying up the night through all the lonely streets and vanished years. Stella Blue, Stella Blue, when all the chords are down, there's nothing left to see. There's just the pavement left and broken dreams. Stella Blue. Stella Blue. I'm staying in every blue light cheap hotel. And went for try. Dust off those rusty strings just one more time. Gonna make 'em shine. It all rolls into one. Nothing comes for free. There's nothing you can hold for very long. When you hear that song, crying like the wind, it seems like all this life was just a dream. Stella Blue. Stella Blue.